Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome wherever you are. I'll tell you where we are. We're here in the Romemu Sanctuary. This space where our prayers for over a decade plus have been saturating the walls and the floors and the ceiling. What drips from this ceiling is not only sometimes some dried paint, but also some of the longings and the prayers that have been left over here. And they're intermingling also with the prayers of the people from the West End Presbyterian Church in the Sacred Sanctuary, which we have prayed in together, separately but together for over a decade, into this space in what should not be a gesture of courage and heroism to step into your space. I don't see it as such this Shabbat. I see it as what we do. This is what we do. We come. We're thankful for the security, but we rest also in the security of Shabbat, the power of our music. I heard just a few moments before we came in this space that a beloved teacher and world teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Vietnamese Buddhist monk who influenced so many of those who attend our services. My own life was changed. Chazan Schechter, Luke, Thich Nhat Hanh, belovedly known as Thai, to his students, who wrote a book, Peace is Every Step. I think of Shabbat that way too. Shabbat is peace with every song, with every note, with every gesture. We make Shabbat in the ways that we sing together, in the ways that we close our eyes and reflect, in the ways that we allow these prayers to wash through us and take us to places of profound spiritual peace and knowing and belonging. So here we are together, circles in our squares. Some of us around the corner, some of us around the world, all of us together in celebrating Shabbat. Yedid Nefesh, this beautiful poem we sang last week, in its fullness, kind of want to hear Chazan Schechter and the Oud on this beautiful melody that Rabbi Zach Fredman brought to us last week. Yedid Nefesh, beloved soul, compassionate parent, draw us, Mishoch Avdach El Ritzonach, to your will. page 12. We sing a new song, Shir Ladonai Shir Chadash.
Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shir Chadash.
Shiru Ladonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Vasu Yom Liyom, Yeshuato.
Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai,
Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Vasu Yom Liyom, Yeshuato. בכל אשר לא שדי, איי 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 איי, אז ירדנו עצי אז ירדנו עצי אז ירדנו כל עצי If you're able to rise, please rise. Psalm 29 brings us the voices. The tradition tells us that at Sinai, we saw voices and heard sights. Synesthesia, the intermingling of senses, an overwhelming, ineffable quality of revelation that is channeled in Psalm 29, where we hear the kol and the kol, the voice of this, the voice of that, everything speaks. There is no Hebrew word for things. There are only divarim. Things speak to us if we have ears to hear them, maybe eyes to hear them, and ears to see them. Mizmor le David. B'Dovi. Listen to your body, release the weak. Listen to your body, release the weak. Yah gives us strength, Yah gives us peace. Yah give us strength, give us peace. Give us strength, give us peace. Give us strength, give us peace. Give us strength. I'm not a big fan of feeding fear. things that we feed grow. I wouldn't want to starve fear either. Fear has a holy place. Once a year, we're told to say the full 12 words that form the jewel that is known as the Shema. 6 words of the Shema and the 6 words of the Baruch Shem, which, though we say the Baruch Shem, those 6 words after the Shema every day, 3 times a day, twice, 3 times, but out loud we proclaim Baruch Shem Kavod. And according to the Kabbalah, the Baruch Shem Kavod, that 6-word phrase that is right before Lecha Dodi, right before the beautiful poem of the beloved on Kabbalat Shabbat, it's a proclamation of a lower unity, a unity that is the unity of all in all, that we see with our eyes open, that it's all what it is. Blessed is the name, your majestic name throughout time and space. Certainly, there have been moments in the last 20 minutes when the thought has arisen in my mind. I wonder, I've had this thought before, after Pittsburgh and many times since, and it's happened a lot this week. If these were my last words, of my life, not to feed fear, but just to crystallize purpose. Yes, I'm a Jew, like my father and mother, my ancestors. I love this tradition, this faith that points us in its own particular way towards the universal truths that I hold as my life's mission, my life's purpose. And yes, we have so many friends who join us in this Jewish path from so many different places. And all of us in our own way, pointing towards that ultimate expression of life, which is love. May we see love clearly and directly. Oh, shame. I invite you, if your eyes are not already closed, wherever you are, if you feel that closing your eyes will allow you to go inside, please close your eyes. And just begin with a gentle and intentional turning of your awareness, your attention to your body. And see how little you need to focus on the body in order to invite the body to soften and to release. It could just be that awareness and being with are the ingredients, the keys that help us all be fully present. Noticing sensations, just bringing awareness without doing anything, but noticing what chest feels like, what shoulder feels like. What cold feels like. Pressure. Perhaps focusing on the weight that you're giving to the chair, or the sofa, the seat, the floor, and allowing more of your weight to be given. See if the chair can hold you. Can you be held? As we breathe together. Last couple of seconds together, just noticing if you can relax your jaw. And allow the throat also to open. And just for now, in this moment, as we receive Shabbat together, to let any problem or yourself as a problem or anything that needs to be solved, to let that rest. And whenever you're ready, or if you would like to open your eyes, the words of our ancestors for the Chadodi, Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat, Nekavela. Page 25 and 26 in our Romemu Siddur online, wherever you are. Join us, please. Chadodi, Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat, Nekavela, Chadodi. Shabbat Nekabela Likrat Shabbat
לכו ונלכה כי
הנה כל
הברכה
בראש מקדם
בראש מקדם
משוכה
משוכה
סוף מעשה
סוף מעשה
במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה ונשמה וקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ונשמה וקבלה
מקדש מלך
עיר
מלוכה
ומצאי
ומצאי
מתוך ההפכה רב לך שבר באמת הבכה הוא יחמור עליי חמלה מאמין אדוני וגקלה ונשמה קמלה לך אדוני וגקלה ונשמה נקרלה מעפר פנימי לבשי בגדי היה בנישה חובה נפשי יאללה 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 לך אדוני נגלה ונשמה הוויה עליי לקנוני לקלה ולשמה נקבלה לקנוני לקלה ולשמה everybody, Gary, get up and dance. Renee, ay, 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 Emet, Ahava, Nikki, Nikamela, Velo Tikami, Matistokati, Matayami, Neely, and Judith. Oh, man, Ibnita, Iratila, Orekandoni. Ay, 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 Shabbat, Nikabela, Kandoni, Nikak, ay, 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 Shabbat, Nikabela, Ayudim Shisa, Chotzaye, Overachakul, Komevana, Yengen, Yatsi Salagi, Eloragi, Insos Hatam, Ankala, Shabbat, Nikabela, ay, 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 Shabbat, Nikabela, Yamin Usmol, Kinotzi, Venyet Adonai, Ka'aritzi, Al Yadish Ben, Paratzi, Eye Mismecha, Nagila, Kakara, Eye Yabbat, Shabbat, Nikabela, oh, Bambarai, hey la la la, hey la 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 la, la 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 la. Shabbos, oh, Nechadodi, Kakara, oh, Nechamba, Nikabela, ay, ay, ay. Shabbat, Kabbalat Shabbat, Kabbalat. Please rise if you're able as you face the door. Bogi b'shalom. Wow, the door. By the door, Rabbi Citron Walker stood last Shabbat morning with a cup of tea for a stranger. And by the door this week, we stand also courageous, open, recognizing that we are the people of the door. We welcome the bride or the lover of Shekhinah with hearts available and open. גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם הסגולה, בואי חלה, שבת המלכה, לך דודי לקראת, יאללה בני שבת. Into the space in our midst, it would be customary to welcome a mourner who would, for the purposes of Avilut, or the laws of Avilut, would potentially remain outside during the more joyous portions of the prayer service, and now we would welcome them in. I think it's customary here at Romemu for mourners to be with us in joy too, but nonetheless we give special attention at this moment to you, Richard, to Doldig, although you're not visible to the community here. You are here in our sanctuary, having requested to be here with us as you buried your father today. I also know Juliet and Phil were watching. We too are with you. As you buried your father today, Juliet. We lift up the souls who are in need of healing tonight in body, heart, mind, and spirit. May they be healed. May the one who heals broken hearts heal them as well.
Healer of the broken, I'm here to sing a song, to echo all our sacred stories, and with love it makes us strong. Healer of the broken, your heart beats in the stars. Oh, we pray that's where you are.
May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all of those whose names we've read and whose faces we've seen and whose hands we've held. God, give them strength and healing in body, heart, mind, and on the neshama. On this Shabbat, may there be healing. And congregation may be seated. Oh, beautiful people. I have a book of prayers, of African American prayers, and I think the title of the book, if I'm not mistaken, is In Need of Prayer. And I feel that way, just about this moment when we come to the midway point in our Friday night service, and my heart feels so touched and so thankful for voices and for hearts and for all of you. So thankful for these words of our tradition and this sacred time that we have. And I'm so thankful to Bob and Emily Sack and Bob Schloss, who are sponsoring the beauty of this Shabbat's, the components of one Shabbat service, which is available to all of you who are sponsoring and lifting up the community with your support. We want to thank you, Emily and Bob, and also celebrate your birthday, Bob. Really, really amazing to have arrived at 70 years old. 70 years old, mamash. Just the beginning, my friend, just the beginning, Bob. May you be blessed with many, many years of health and happiness and joy on so many levels. And we can all say a big amen.
Amen.
Obviously, our hearts and our organization are attuned to what took place in Colleyville last Shabbat morning, Shabbat day, the aftermath of that 11 hours of not knowing and the bated breath and the anxiety and the tears and the prayers and the thankfulness when all of the hostages were safe. In response to that, of course, we are and have always been diligent with security, but here, especially now in the wake of this, we are being, there is a program of community-wide safety training with CSS. And so that's going to be happening for the community. We in the staff and part of the Romemu staff and team are already training, of course, and have been trained, but we're continuing that. But for the community, there's a community-wide online safety training that will be taking place this coming January 27th at 7:30 p.m. We'll be sending out a reminder for that as well. Sacred Conversations is happening. Sacred Conversations is the initiative of our lay leadership in connection with our staff to bring thicker threads between all of the members of our community. We know that we have a loving community, but being able to be with one another and connect in conversation is a powerful way to deepen our bonds with one another and to root ourselves here. And so Sacred Conversations took place last year. There were a number of them, and they will be happening again. We need you to register by February 10th for that as well. So please be on the lookout for that. Shabbat Basics Cooking with Vered Gutman is also going to be taking place on January 26th. It's an online cooking course. That looks good. I didn't know about that. That's great. And tomorrow morning I'll be teaching again. We're going to try it again with Rabbi Kolar Esses, my favorite chavruta. We're going to be studying together tomorrow morning at 8:45 on the Parsha for the open book, and then please join us online as well for our services at 10 o'clock. This is our moment to invite those who are here for the first time to maybe introduce yourselves. We might have a few people here who are either here for the first time or maybe just coming back into the space for after a while. So please use the chat as a way to almost stand up in the sanctuary and say your name and where you're from. I'm just going to say how great it is to have our Joseph S. Ingber, JSI Rabbinic Fellow, Jackson, here with us again. Can you all show some love for Jackson? Isn't he? I just love Jackson's voice, Jackson's presence. It's great to have you, Jackson. And it's great that also Rich is here, and Luke is here, and Chazan Schechter, and we're here in the space. So we're so happy to be here with all of you. And anybody here for the first time, you have a couple of highs from Carla. Carla Friend says hello. Hi, Carla Friend says hello. Let's see. We're going to wait a minute. Sometimes takes a while for people here for the first time. I might just do a little stroll. I'm going down the aisle right now to the second page, just to see who's in the sanctuary. Let's say hello to some people. Some friends from Colorado. Got Judith taking in Shabbat early in Boulder. I have not seen, let's see, good to see Jamie, good to see Alexandra, good to see Gary, Judith, and Myron. My father-in-law, good to see you, Elliot. I'm happy that you're looking in good health, Baruch Hashem. Beth, and Fran and Ellen and Renee, Bracha and Carol, Gabrielle, and I see the kids in front of the camera there. Who else? We got friends. I'm seeing all kinds of beautiful people here. Shabbat Shalom to Sarah Gluck from Skillman, New Jersey. So good to have you. Arnie is here. Nice to have you, Arnie, on sabbatical from your own shul. It's a blessing to daven with you. I'm going to be going on sabbatical soon, too. I'll come to your shul. I'm kidding. I don't know when that's happening. But all right, from Amherst, Patience. I hope I got that right. I think Rachel Jackson is, I think that's your parents.
My mom.
Your mom and dad.
My wife's name is Rachel.
All right, Rachel.
And that Rachel Mercer is my mom.
Rachel Mercer, got it.
It's
Well,
not
here's the
confusing.
funny thing. Your mother's name is Rachel, and your wife's name is Rachel, but Rachel's last name is Jackson, and your first name is Jackson.
Yeah, my wife's name, yeah.
It's just,
There's going to be a class next week.
yeah, we're just going to have, we'll have an image or a
Yeah,
background.
definitely.
Okay, I love it.
Me too.
Oh, look at this, Arnie, I know. All right, and Celia. Just returned from Israel, Adrian Fadil. Okay, thank you for putting that in there. I'm still looking through. Anybody? Some friends. Mark and Harriet. Emet Ahava, Neely again, Ori, Paul Ullman. Good to see you, Paul. Let's see, Linda. We can all be waving. Joyce, Stephen, Tamara, Lauren, and Jeremy. David, Rachel Maclef, thank you for your email. I'm praying for you. Andrea and Daniel, beloveds, good to see you. Nikki, after a little while. Once again, Geneva and Deborah, and Ilana Klugman, and husband, Ariella. So good to see all of you. I think I'm going to probably miss at least half of you, but I'm looking through there. Scott, I was about to say, hey, Scott, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. So nice to have all of you in the sanctuary. Holly and Sharon Dolan and Alan, Jack, David and Sharon. Oh, Helio in Brazil. So blessed. Laura and Judy. Baruch Hashem. Andrea. Susan. So many. Keith and Barbara. Okay, friends, at risk of now, if I didn't call your name, I love you still. I promise. I'm so happy to see you. I'm glancing. We're going to be asking everyone to please rise if you're able for the Baruch Hu, as we're called to community at this moment. This miracle of being, the civilization that bequeathed to us the gifts of our tradition, the wisdom, the practices, Torah, mitzvot, chukim, umishpatim. So thankful for our teachers, so thankful for the gifts of wisdom. Our sacred phrases are sacred, pathways are sacred, life-affirming values. Keep on loving us, source of life. May we always be connected to that loving source. In all worlds and all dimensions, Leolam Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר
ודיברת גם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך גם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך היין שמוע תשמעו מצוותיי. The world as we find it is the world that we've planted, the world that we reap, the world that we harvest, the world that we've sown and shown. Be careful with what you plant. Be careful with the seeds of hatred, the seeds of jealousy, of greed, the poisons in the mind and heart that pollute our waters, that poisons our skies, exfoliates our forests. You are not separate from all that you live in. You don't live on earth, you are earth. We are earth. We are earth. We are earth. Teach your children, connect them, bind them, root them, irrigate their hearts and souls to love the world they live, the world they are. למען ירבו ימיכם בימי בניכם על האדמה אשר ישבע אדוני לעבדיכם לתת להם, to make heavenly days right here על הארץ. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם וסולם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם ונתנו על ציצית. See them. Remember, 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 remember Adonai, Elohechem, Emet. Last week in the Torah we read the Song of the Sea. And if we could tell our ancestors we're still struggling, we're still being chased by the taskmasters and the slave masters named greed and hatred and ignorance, anti-Semitism and Jew hatred and racism and homophobia and transphobia and misogyny and anti-human. But we long to sing the song. Oh, how we long to sing the song of Micha Mocha. So let's sing. One day all people will be free, safe.
Da 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 da. Tehilo Osefele da 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 ונאמר כי פדה אדוני יעקב וגאלו ביד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל די 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 די
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. As we lie down in peace. Ufros aleinu Sukan, sukan, sukan Shalomecha Ufros aleinu Sukan, sukan Shalomecha Ufros aleinu Sukat shlomecha Baruch ata Adonai Haporei Sukat shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel Ve'am Yerushalayim. Please rise if you are able. V'shamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת
לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו אל הנבלים ובני ישראל אות הנה לעולם ששבת עשה between parts of the prayers.
יתקדע ויתקדש לרבה
Amen.
ימלדי ואחותי וימלך מלכותי בחייכם יומכם ובחיי תחום בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ימרו
Amen. יש מרבה מבורך יום מהלמיון יתברך וישתבח ויתבר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויסחדר ויסלב ויסלל שמי קודשה לילה מן כובד חסה משין עשה תוש וחסה ונחם עשה דמירן ועלמה אין לרסה.
'Cause
We take a few moments now to be together in traditional Amidah or in silent reflections. Be with God as you understand God at this moment. Be in your own private yet public space with the One as we hold this space together.
There is no way to peace, my friend. Peace is the way. There is no way to peace, my friend. Peace is the way. Peace in the here and now. Peace is the way. With every breath and every step.
Peace is the way.
There is no way to freedom.
Freedom is the way.
There is no way to freedom. Freedom is the way. Freedom
In the here and now. Freedom is the way.
with every breath and every step. Freedom is the way.
There's no way
To love my friend.
Love is the way. There's no way to love my
friend.
love is the way.
Love in the here and now. Love is the way. With every breath and every step. Love
Is the way. I want to dedicate tonight's Torah to the memory of the great teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, who passed away today. and for his impact on my life. I think it's pretty safe to say that I wouldn't be here today had I not met his writings and his students. I don't know if what I will say is something that he would agree with. I'm sure nonetheless he would greet my words with appreciation and with great devotion. Each and every year on Shabbat of Parshat Yitro, of the portion that we are about to read tomorrow morning, sometimes known as Shabbat Matan Torah, the Shabbat in which we receive Torah at Sinai, the Torah brings us to the remarkable moment where slaves stood before a mountain and became a people with a transcendent mission and purpose. And each and every year, sometimes more than once, I admit it, I get stuck. I'm not taken by the events of Revelation as much as I am taken in by the events that precede Revelation, and maybe even the event that preceded that which preceded Revelation. The portion in which Torah itself is revealed builds slowly towards that moment of standing together at Sinai. We don't plunge right into chapter 19 with the lights and the synesthesia and the mountain on fire. No, we build slowly from chapter 18, where we're not introduced to Revelation, but reintroduced to Moshe's father-in-law. Moshe's father-in-law comes from afar, it seems, because he's heard about something remarkable that's taken place. Vayishma Yitro Kohen Midyan Choten Moshe. And Jethro, the priest of Midian and the father-in-law of Moshe, heard all that had happened to the Israelites, for God had taken them out of bondage. That moment, the meaning of the narrative and bringing Yitro into the story at this moment, it's remarkable because it says a lot about Yitro, and it teaches us a lot about a character whom we probably should emulate. If we were to just focus on the character of Yitro, the father-in-law of Moshe, and his introduction or reintroduction here in the narrative of the Israelites' march to freedom, we might actually have a powerful paradigm for emulation. Moshe's father-in-law, some see him as the perfect journey person, moved by the news of what took place to the Israelites. He is neither Jew, neither not Jew. He finds himself impacted, and he comes like a student who ever wants to learn from a great teacher. Yitro becomes the model of someone who is moved, someone who listened and was impacted and made a change. One of the commentators say, this entire piece is to teach us the power of the hungry seeker, who upon hearing the truth is willing, like the Buddha or like Moshe, to leave privilege and power to make the journey necessary to be illuminated. In this model of Yitro's reason for being here before Torah, Yitro becomes the paragon and paradigm of the one who is prepared to receive Torah. Be hungry like Yitro. Be thirsty. Be a seeker. Be one who can learn Torah and is willing to be moved by it. I know in some ways Yitro's arrival on a much less majestic or religious level is just a remarkable parenthesis and a remarkable kind of interruption in the narrative to give us an insight into Moshe too. The kind of teacher that Yitro was to Moshe. After all, in a number of verses, after having been welcomed by the Israelites, Yitro will actually find himself comfortable enough to actually tell his very famous and very powerful son-in-law exactly how he should be running his business. Jethro will tell him in verses that are included for posterity by the authors or by God in our Torah, the Torah that precedes Sinai given to Moses is the Torah of his father-in-law. The Torah of our parents, the Torah of our loved ones. I couldn't help but think about Jethro's model today as I sat and listened to Brother Richard talking about Irving and about the ways in which his life was shaped and formed by his own father. Couldn't help but think today as I watched with a grin and with a tear, more than one, streaming down my face as I listened to Juliet talk about her father, a remarkable tzaddik, a remarkable loving father. Think about my own father-in-law who's here, and I wasn't paid to say this, how lucky I am to have you in my life as a teacher and as a confidant and as an advisor and a friend. Couldn't help but thinking about the Torah of our parents, the Torah that we receive from ones whom we trust, how that precedes Torah in a certain way in the narrative. It gives me another interpretation of the famous rabbinic quip, Derech Eretz Kadmala Torah, the way of the land, meaning common sense, good being good-natured, being good, is preceding, both in prioritization and in temporal chronology, the receiving of Torah. Here you have it. Jethro is that guy. He's moved. He gives advice in a way that his son-in-law can hear it. That's not easy, right? I'm thinking more broadly, though, today, in light of last week's events, about what Jethro's narrative means for all of us today. In order to understand it, we have to go to where I said, the preceding of the preceding, where we left off last week before Jethro arrived. See, folks, in last week's Torah portion, the end of leaving Egypt, with the Egyptians having drowned in the sea, the Israelites breathe a sigh of relief. They have enough strength to begin complaining, and so they begin their sojourn towards Sinai. But the story last week leaves us with a very terrifying narrative. The Israelites, fresh from running from their enemies, are attacked yet again by a group called the Amalekites. The Torah describes a vulnerable Israelite nation, newly freed, perhaps breathing fully, perhaps allowing themselves to feel the safety and the security of having left the horrors of Egypt behind. And then Amalek. Vayavo Amalek. The reborn Israelites must have thought to themselves, no matter where we go, someone will attack us. If we let our guard down, we will be burned. Is it me, they must have wondered? Is it us? What's happening here? Did we create the Amalekites with our own imagination? Did we project them? Should we be doing more therapy as a nation? Is there blame to be had? This event is what immediately precedes the arrival of Jethro, the priest of Midian. We arrive before Sinai, before we receive revelation, to meet the one who is not like the others. We meet the one who comes with a genuine curiosity to be a part of our story, who takes part in the sympathetic joy of the other as Israelites. Yitro, as Moshe's father-in-law, participates in the Jewish narrative. He honors our particular pains and revels in our revelations. He's a good man, says the Torah, a holy man, and yes, he isn't an Israelite, but he's also not an Amalekite. You are about to receive Torah from God on a mountain, but you can also receive Torah, and maybe have to receive Torah, from this man who stands before you with his love. He might trigger in you Amalekite memories, but he isn't them, and he isn't that. Perhaps Yitro's placement here, sandwiched between an attack on our particularity and a revelation and sanctification of it, is strategically placed as a reminder to all of us. There are a lot of Amalekites, unfortunately, but there are also a lot of Yitros. Learn Torah from them, from Thich Nhat Hanh, from neighbors, from imams and sheikhs and priests, and atheists and agnostics, and people of every walk of life. They've come to teach you Torah. Learn from them and never stop listening for them. Lest you think, though, that at this moment, that is the only lesson I think Yitro's strategic placement gives us, I'd like to offer this one. Perhaps Yitro was placed here for an entirely different reason. Perhaps Yitro was the standard bearer of all future allies of the Jewish people. Perhaps Yitro raised the bar on what we as a people should expect from those who come and say, we are your supporters. Maybe Yitro raised the bar and invited all of us to demand that in the wake of tragedy and difficulty, in the wake of yet again another attack on the sovereignty of our right to religious freedom and religious expression, maybe Yitro comes this week and every week before Revelation to say, don't forget you are the ones who stood at Sinai. You are the ones who have fought and have walked and have protested. You are the ones who have given of your universal vision to the world, and you are the ones who deserve a particular support at this moment. You deserve for me to be there for you and with you. I know I am not alone in feeling both the power of having had allies reach out to me and to Romemu people over the past week to say, we are with you. And I'm also not alone in the disappointment I've had this week. And those for whom last Saturday's headlines were not sufficient news to think of rabbis and Jews who would have to yet again show up in synagogue this week knowing that it's never assured. Maybe Yitro comes to raise the bar for all of you here to say, we deserve Jethros. We deserve to have that presence in our lives. That is the standard by which we should be judging our allies. I feel like I'm holding all of those here tonight. All of those Jethros mixing together with me. The beauty of fathers and parents and teachers whose modeling of life blessed us. The beauty of others and strangers whose Torah has illuminated my path and without which I would not be here tonight. The beauty of the ability to see the one before us, not as those, but as this one. And the empowerment and the obligation that I feel all of us have as Jews to demand more of a world that somehow seems to allow anti-Semitism and Jew hatred to recede each and every time, only to rear its head again. May God bless us with the powerful lessons of Jethro, of Yitro, and may his Torah and his legacy be one that we walk with now and every day. Please rise if you are able for the Aleinu, the Hashivota.
Hashivota El Levavecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim Hashivota El Levavecha Ki
Havaya. He Elohim, Nememar, Haya Adonai, Lemelech al kol haaretz hayom hahu, vayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. Ushmo, Ushmo, Ushmo. Into this sacred space, we lift up the names of loved ones who are being remembered. We invite you to chat the names of loved ones that you are remembering tonight. We lift up my brother Richard, who's here in the sanctuary with us. If you'd like to say out loud the name of your father. Yitzhak Shmuel ben David Veleya, Irving Godoldig, who loved Romemu services so much and cried during them, in those times that you sat by his bed and held his hand, and you hear the beautiful melodies that are sung, and be brought back to the place of an early childhood with Judaism and Yiddishkeit. We commend his soul, and we lift up the names of Dr. John Spitzer, Juliet's father, Edward Arden, Blair, John, Judy Arnold, and Thich Nhat Hanh, and all of those in this community whose names are here in the chat. Harriet Phillips and Frank Colavita, Henry Wenkart, Shula Koenig, Bernard Friend, Carla's father, Wesley Williams, Jennifer Badger Sultan, Kenna Del Sol, Arthur Eisenberg. In the names of all of those who are on the slides, we lift up their memory. Yes, Paul, lifting up Howard Eisenberg, Justin Luongo. The mourners' cottage can be found on the screen in front of you. If your custom is to stand with the mourners, please rise at this moment as we stand together with them. Matthew Sill and Jewel Olds. Yiska Adam v'Yiska Dash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divrach irusei v'yamlich machusei v'chayichon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mivorach le'alam yamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dikudsha brichu, le'ilam min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiran le'oma v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shloma Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'imromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, and let us say Amen. Yehei Zichram Baruch. Into this cup of blessing, everyone. If you hold up your cup of blessing, I'm going to put a couple of thank yous here. A couple of yashikochs to this beautiful community. First of all, to all of you who showed up tonight, and that's what it is. Shul, show up. Show up for shul. Shul up. It's really important. I think that tonight, maybe more so than many months, there's a sense of community. And I think the first thought I had when I heard about it, when Jeffrey texted me about what was happening in Colleyville, was I wanted to reach out to all of my friends. I wanted to reach out to all my Jew friends and my rabbi friends and my colleagues and say, like, hey, we're in this together. Have you heard? And I feel like we came together tonight here in the Zumagog and in the synagogue to say this beautiful community and communities like it, we live in need of prayer, in need of community, in need of one another. So into this cup of blessing, from Cyrus in sound and to Celia behind the scenes doing the Zoom, and Nikela here in the sanctuary with Jeffrey and Junior and Justin and Freddie. And I don't know who's doing security today? Ryan. And to, of course, Luke and Rich and Jackson and Chazan Basia and Chazan Shachter. So beautiful to be together. So please, into this cup of blessing, everybody, please rise. Yom HaShishi, Vayichulu HaShamayim v'haaretz, v'chol tzevam,
Vayichal Elohim bayom hashvi'i,
Melachto asher asa,
Vayishpot bayom hashvi'i, mikol melachto asher asa.
Vayivarech Elohim et Yom HaShevi'i, Vayikadesh oto, ki vo shavat mikol melachto, asher bara Elohim lasot, savri chaverai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu mitzvotav v'ratzav banu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron. Stephanie. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher Alyssa. Yim kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu Stephen, Sharon, imekol ha'amim, Ronnie and Joe, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ava u'ratzon Kami, inchaltanu, Roberta, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat. If peace is every step, Shabbat is every step, right? Nichamocha, freedom song, Shabbat.
Da 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 Kodesh Nora Tehilot Osef Leola na 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 da 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Da 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 da. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Da da da
We're not going anywhere. We're here. We love you. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Have a great Shabbos.